ABC News Live.
Committee believes that more than sufficient evidence exists for a criminal referral of former President Trump for assisting or aiding and comforting those at the Capitol who engaged in a violent attack on the United States.
A historic decision on Capitol Hill as the January 6th committee refers criminal charges to the Justice Department against former President Donald Trump for the attack on the Capitol. They're recommending several charges, including inciting an insurrection. The committee also referred charges for several close allies. Jonathan Karl is in Washington, D.C. Just 2 days before the expected end of Title 42, the Supreme Court orders a temporary stay blocking the order. The expiration of the policy would lift restrictions on asylum seekers trying to get into America. Despite the ruling, could it still expire on Wednesday? Terrifying turbulence. Passengers on 2 separate jets were injured after rough flights. More than 36 people hurt in all, and nearly 20 of them had to be hospitalized. New video shows the scary moments inside one of those planes. The debate over cash bail as Illinois is set to become the first state to end it entirely. Supporters say it's an unfair system. One woman says forced her to stay behind bars for more than a year because she couldn't pay it.
I lost my business, I lost housing, I lost transportation, my vehicles. There are so many women that I met in jail because they could not afford to pay a bill.
Meanwhile, critics say it raises public safety concerns. Our Devin Dwyer traveled to Chicago to get a closer look. One hit single changed musician Andrew Bazzi's life, catapulting him to fame and leading to a spot on a major tour. Then he hit a roadblock, the pandemic. But he's used it as an opportunity to be candid about his mental health and to find healing in his music.
And I think there's a lesson in that, too. It's like when you take care of yourself, you take care of other people, too. You stand up for yourself, you stand up for everybody.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with the dramatic conclusion to the January 6th committee's 18-month-long sweeping investigation into the attack at the Capitol. Today, the committee voted unanimously on a historic criminal referral to the Justice Department recommending charges against former President Trump. In a 160-page summary released after the meeting today, the committee labeled Trump as the central cause of the attack and listed 4 charges they recommend be brought against him. Those charges are as follows: obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to make a false statement, and inciting or assisting in an insurrection. The Department of Justice is in the midst of its own investigation involving former President Trump and is under no obligation to listen to the criminal referral. With Republicans set to take control of the House now in just a matter of weeks, we take a look at what comes next. Our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, leads us off.
In a dramatic coda to one of the most sweeping investigations of a president ever conducted by Congress, the January 6th committee recommended Donald Trump be prosecuted for multiple crimes related to the attack on the U.S. Capitol.
Every president in our history has defended this orderly transfer of authority, except one.
Will you be back?
Today, for the first time, the American people hearing what Hope Hicks told the committee. She was one of Trump's longest-serving and most loyal aides. She testified she told Trump she didn't see any evidence of voter fraud.
I was becoming increasingly concerned that we were damaging his legacy.
What did the president say in response to what you just described?
He said something along the lines of, nobody will care about my legacy if I lose. So that won't matter. The only thing that matters is winning.
The committee laid out some of its most damning evidence. Trump's pressure campaign on state officials, including his infamous call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
How he turned his supporters on his own vice president.
Approximately 40 feet. That's all there was. 40 feet between the vice president and the mob.
And how ordinary citizens became victims of Trump's lies, including Ruby Freeman, an election worker in Fulton County, Georgia. falsely accused by Trump and Rudy Giuliani of rigging voting machines.
I won't even introduce myself by my name anymore. I get nervous when I bump into someone I know in the grocery store who says my name. I'm worried about who's listening. I get nervous when I have to give my name for food orders.
The committee concluded the former president committed at least 4 crimes, referring them to the Department of Justice for possible prosecution, including obstructing an official proceeding.
The whole purpose and obvious effect of Trump's scheme were to obstruct, influence, and impede this official proceeding, the central moment for the lawful transfer of power in the United States.
And conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to make a false statement, specifically his efforts to get individuals in several states to submit fake slates of electors. And finally, insurrection against the U.S. government.
The committee believes that more than sufficient evidence exists for a criminal referral of former President Trump for assisting or aiding and comforting those at the Capitol who engaged in a violent attack on the United States.
The vote was unanimous.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
So clearly the ayes have it. Jonathan Karl joins us now. John, the Justice Department is not required to act on these criminal referrals, but their own investigation is now underway. So what happens next?
Well, they have not been sitting around waiting for a referral from the January 6th committee. In fact, Special Counsel Jack Smith, who just took over a month ago, has already issued subpoenas in 7 states related to the fake elector scheme. Their investigation is well underway, already aggressively investigating Trump's actions up to and on January 6th. Lindsay?
All right. Jonathan Karl from the Capitol. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you.
Joining us now for his thoughts on the January 6th committee's findings and what comes next is Officer Harry Dunn, who defended the Capitol on January 6th and still serves there today. Officer Dunn, we thank you for your service and for your time tonight. Appreciate you joining the show as always. You, of course, attended every single one of these hearings. We've spoken several times before. You've always talked about your desire for accountability. Would you say that today's criminal referrals, is this the type of accountability that you've been seeking all along?
Well, thanks. Like I said, thanks for having me on. I don't know if I don't necessarily know if I would say this is the type of accountability. It's a part of it. If you look at what the referrals actually do, it's not much. It actually just asks the Justice Department to look into, hey, we have evidence of, criminality here. Please investigate further and bring appropriate charges. However, the Justice Department, in theory, doesn't need those referrals to do their job and to bring charges against it. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a part of it.
So I'm an analogy person. I'm going to just say, if this is getting to first base, what would have been a home run in your estimation?
Well, for the committee, can't really. This is as much as they can do. This is what they can do. They made recommendations in the report to keep this type of thing from happening again. And that's one of the requests that I made during my testimony when I testified before the 1-6 committee was get to the bottom of what happened. Everybody has a role to play in getting that accountability. And I think the 1-6 committee took that, they did that job today.
But you said you wanted them to get to the bottom of it. Do you feel that they did? Did we get to the bottom of it?
I think so. I think all the questions have been answered about what happened and, why it happened. And those questions are clear. The evidence is clear about what happened to me. But like I said, I'm not a prosecutor or a lawyer. And that's who ultimately is going to determine if justice is served or not.
You were certainly a witness on that day. I'm curious ultimately how you feel that history will remember the work of this committee.
They should. I mean, this is an unprecedented attack. It's an unprecedented moment, dark stain in our history. And but it is our history, though, whether it's dark or not. And the 1-6 committee, their work has been remarkable. Just the amount of things that they were able to uncover. They interviewed. They took their time with this, and I hope that I can't wait to read the full report, but I think that they got it right.
You and your colleagues recently received a Congressional Gold Medal for your actions on January 6th. Of course, the family of fallen officer Brian Sicknick refused to shake Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell's hand, saying they're doing a lot to support what caused the events of January 6th instead of denouncing them. Would you agree with that sentiment?
You know, I've been thinking about their reaction to not shaking hands, and that's the way that they chose to do it. And, you know, I have no problem with what they did. I don't want to get into it too much about the way they did it, but there are people out there that, I would say that emboldened this rhetoric to continue to downplay what happened that day.
I'm curious, as we approach 2 years since that traumatic day for you and so many others, how are you personally doing?
You know, I'm doing all right. I'm doing a lot better than I was a couple months ago, hell, a year ago. I'm doing a lot better, but I've said that healing is not a destination, it's a journey.
As a citizen and somebody who still works at the Capitol, what would you like to see happen to former President Trump?
Well, it's clear that he broke the law. I agree with all the referrals, and I think he needs to be held accountable. Nobody's above the law, so he needs to go to court and have his day in court.
Officer Harry Dunn, we thank you once again so much for joining us, for giving us your time once again.
Thanks for having me.
For more on today's hearing, we're joined now by Denver Riggleman, a former Republican congressman from Virginia who served as a senior technical advisor to the committee until April. He's also the author of the book, The Breach, The Untold Story of the Investigation into January 6th. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with, as the committee completes its work, give us your assessment on how effective these hearings have been in making the case against the former president. Have they done enough to really connect the dots on why he should face criminal charges?
You know, and thanks for having me again, Lindsay. I think they've connected the dots, certainly on Trump's state of mind, the legal insanity he had surrounding him, his incitement and intimidation through digital media, and really the fact that his actions were really, I would say, more than partly responsible for what happened on January 6th. You know, for me, I look at it in a little bit of a different lens, Lindsay. As you know, we've talked before, I look at it from a counterterrorism lens, apolitically, and as a Republican or a Democrat, or what else is going to happen? What can we do next? I do think, as we've seen with the committee, as effective they've been at what Trump did and the people around him, I think we need to look to the future and what happens on the next January 6th. You know, how do we stop that? So although this report is going to be sort of managed by the gold team, which was looking at Trump and his associates, I think the other teams, the red, blue, purple, and green, the teams looking at other facets of this might be more important for the future when you look at the data that they have. So we look at follow the money, when you look at online radicalization, when you look at foreign, interference in our elections and amplification of digital madness, you're right, in those type of things. And you look at the day of the command and control with Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and other right-wing extremist groups. I think it's that data that's really going to show us the way and how to prevent this in the future.
You did raise some concerns in your book about leads that may not have been followed or work that still needed to be done. Is there anywhere where you feel that the committee has fallen short?
You know, it's tough because they have such a hard job of prioritizing the tasks based on their limited authorities. And that's what I've been trying to explain to people, is that data is the superhero that we can rely on a lot of these. But the committee can't do some things. And some of that really comes down to how robust the link maps were, but also the other end of those calls from the White House. I mean, for me, it's very important what happened with Trump, don't get me wrong, but I really want to know why an Oath Keeper had a direct line to the White House and Kelly Sorrell texting directly with Andrew Giuliani, or why the White House switchboard, or the switchboard number, was connected, to an individual who was on the ground during the time, a rioter, or why there's rally planners that were directly connected to the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys that had access to White House phone numbers also, and were calling back and forth in and out of there. So for me, Lindsay, I mean, I would love to be even a bigger part of this in the future. I'd love to be behind the door in the DOJ, but we have so much data on call records and texts and things like that that I really believe another year of parsing through that data maybe would give us a better look at what could happen in the future and how they conducted their operations.
As I've said already, your former Republican congressman, the committee today referred multiple Republicans to the House Ethics Committee over failure to comply with lawful subpoenas. But with Republicans taking over the House, is there any chance for accountability there?
No.
Yeah.
No, I know Lindsay's not the answer, but no, I mean, the only accountability is for the voters, you know, to see that a lot of these individuals live their life, whether they believe it or not, to get elected based on fantasy, based on this sort of surreal look at how the world doesn't work. But you see that everywhere. And, you know, when you look at the re-election this year, and I know people think that somehow we've dodged a bullet, and I get it. But when you look at the 139 who voted, you know, to object to the electors, most of them won re-election. So I guess I don't think we're out of the woods. And I think that's one of the things that concerns me the most is that we need to continue looking forward. And the only way to do that is by studying how they did it beforehand, because as you know, Lindsay, you know, in the intelligence world, past performance is usually indicative of future performance. And I think that study will allow us to really try to predict what this would look like the next time it happens.
Former GOP Congressman and former committee advisor Denver Riggleman, we thank you so much for your time tonight. Appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Now to the border and news tonight that the Supreme Court has put this week's deadline to end a pandemic-era policy restricting immigration on hold while it hears arguments from both sides in the case. But already some U.S. cities say they are facing a crisis as migrant numbers continue to surge. ABC's Maria Villarreal has the latest from El Paso.
Tonight, just 36 hours before it was set to expire, U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts temporarily pausing the expiration of Title 42, a health policy used by the Trump administration during the pandemic to expel migrants without allowing them to request asylum. 19 Republican-led states behind the push to get the U.S. Supreme Court to step in, arguing failure to grant a stay will cause a crisis of unprecedented proportions at the border and inflict massive irreparable harms on the states. The news coming on the heels of an emergency declaration in El Paso.
Hola, mija, ¿cómo están?
Shelters like Annunciation House bearing the brunt of the most recent surge.
Right now, do you have any space? Do you have any capacity in your shelters?
No, and we haven't for a while.
The Texas National Guard now sending 400 additional troops to the El Paso area. This as the city tries to manage an influx of migrants, 2,200 average daily crossings into the U.S. this month. Border Patrol agents also pushed to the limits. This video provided to ABC News by Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez, appearing to show overcrowding at the El Paso Processing Center. Just this morning, 2 buses arriving in New York City. Mayor Eric Adams warning the city is expecting more than 1,000 asylum seekers each week.
We're not waiting for the expiration before we do our planning.
They are preparing already. Maria Villarreal joins us now. Maria, what's the timeline for the temporary pause, and when will we know if the Supreme Court will actually take up the case?
We know, Lindsay, it is a little too early to tell right now, and there is a chance the U.S. Supreme Court may not take this case up at all. Today's ruling is basically a temporary hold. It puts everything on pause, and it buys people a lot of time right now, which is a big deal right here on the ground in El Paso when you have city leaders, NGOs, and, of course, law enforcement dealing with all of this chaos right now.
Maria, our thanks to you. We are, of course, 6 days away from Christmas, and concern over a triple threat of viruses is only growing. At least 45 states, plus Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, report very high or high flu-like activity. It's already the earliest and most severe flu season in a decade. Right now, America's hospital beds are already nearly 80% full. ABC's Ariel Reshef has the latest.
Tonight, CVS and Walgreens limiting the amount of certain popular over-the-counter children's medicines like ibuprofen and acetaminophen that customers can buy so people don't stockpile. For weeks, the White House insisting there is enough nationwide supply and that spot shortages are isolated to certain areas.
Right now, manufacturing is going 24/7. Supply is good. We have more RSV, flu, COVID out there. So that demand, that increased demand, is what is causing, at moments, spot outages in certain places.
But tonight, CVS telling ABC News to ensure equitable access for all our customers, there is currently a 2-product limit on all children's pain relief products at all CVS pharmacy locations and CVS.com. We're committed to meeting our customers' needs and are working with our suppliers to ensure continued access to these items. Walgreens confirming it is limiting online orders to 6 pediatric fever-reducing medicines, but no limits in stores.
Our thanks to Ariel Reshef. Next tonight to the weather and the powerful new winter storm and the dangerous Arctic blast right behind it. And that all-important question so many are asking, what will possible storms mean for the busy holiday travel week ahead? Let's get right to our senior meteorologist, Rob Marciano. Hey, Rob.
Hi, Lindsay. It's a tough week for this to happen. People are trying to get things done. They're out and about. They're traveling to where they need to get to. They're celebrating. And we've got a trigger storm that's going to kind of open the door for all this cold air. It's impacting the Pacific Northwest right now with rain and snow. It's going to traverse the Rockies during the day tomorrow and get into the plains. And then it'll kind of intensify as it heads towards the western Great Lakes. Look at the wind chills behind this thing. That's devastating and dangerous, in some cases life-threatening stuff. And a lot of snow coming in for St. Louis, Chicago. I think that's where you'll see your white Christmas. But Chicago, some places, hard to tell right now, but some places could see over 1 foot of snow. It's going to be mostly all rain east of that front and windy conditions at times Thursday night into Friday. It's not fun either. But behind this, when it clears out, everybody, about 80% of the U.S. is going to be getting the cold air. Look at the wind chills on Thursday morning in Sioux Falls, 45 degrees below zero. Dallas, you're at 51 Thursday. Look at Friday. Look out Texas. I mean, the bottom drops out. You drop 50 degrees. It's going to feel like -1 in Dallas Friday morning. Single digits along the Gulf Coast. Could very well put a stress on the power grid there in Texas. And then it begins to spread through Louisville, -20 there, and into the east and northeast come Christmas Eve, and sticks around, settles in for Christmas Day, Lindsay. I think the white Christmas will be mostly across the Midwest, but several cities will see their coldest Christmas Day in decades. Lindsay.
And whoa, 3 degrees in Houston, Texas. Oh my God, I don't even know if they have coats down there. Rob,
that's crazy.
Our thanks to you as always. Now to the terrifying turbulence on 2 separate jets, leading some passengers to be taken to the hospital with serious injuries. ABC's Gio Benitez has a new report on what happened inside those rough flights.
Tonight, dramatic new video taken just moments after severe turbulence slammed this Hawaiian Airlines flight shortly before landing, causing serious injuries.
Ladies and gentlemen, attention on board. Do we have any trained medical personnel? Do we have any doctors, nurses, firefighters?
The turbulence hitting without warning.
I saw people flying up and their heads were going into the ceiling.
The overhead compartments cracked and bent where people were hurled.
And we started free falling for like 5 to 10 seconds. During that free fall, like everyone flew in the air, like all luggages came out of the bins.
The jet was full, nearly 300 on board. At least 13 people were taken to hospitals after the plane landed, 7 with serious injuries. While the seatbelt light was on, passengers say there was no warning from the crew. In fact, 3 flight attendants were hospitalized because they were walking around the cabin. Flight data shows the weather was clearly rough as the plane approached Honolulu, a thunderstorm forecast Hawaiian Airlines says it knew about. And modern passenger planes have technology to detect certain turbulent conditions. So tonight, the big question, why did it happen?
Radars cannot see what's called clear air turbulence, an invisible kind of turbulence that tends to be up at very high altitudes where airliners are cruising.
And the Hawaiian flight was not the only mid-air scare overnight. 2 passengers and 3 crew members were treated in Houston after their flight from Rio hit turbulence over the Cancun area. Their injuries described as minor. And as millions fly for the holidays, the expert advice is simple. Keep that seatbelt on anytime you're sitting on a plane, even if the flight is smooth.
Lindsay?
Buckle up for safety, Gio. Thank you. A jury has found Harvey Weinstein guilty on multiple charges in a Los Angeles trial. The once powerful movie mogul was found guilty on 3 offenses, including rape and sexual misconduct. The jury was hung on several counts, including charges involving Jennifer Siebel Newsom, the wife of California Governor Gavin Newsom, who said that Weinstein raped her in a hotel room back in 2005. Weinstein is already 2 years into a 23-year sentence for rape and sexual assault in New York. And when we come back, an hours-long fight to put out a massive fire. What fueled the intense flames? Comedian Neil Brennan gets personal, talking about his new stand-up special, how he's using blocks to talk about everything in his life, from religion to identity. Illinois is set to make history as the first state to end cash bail. Supporters of the change say it's a system that's become unfair and enforces systemic racism. But others say ending it will endanger public safety. Devin Dwyer takes a look at both sides of the debate. This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
In Putin's Russia.
On the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House. Destructive Cat 4 storm.
Here along I-5. Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Get ready, America, every Friday.
The hottest trends, styles, and must-have. What's the right stuff to buy right now? I really love that. It's time to buy the right stuff.
Yes!
And save big time, too.
The right stuff.
Fridays on GMA. You're going to love it.
Bring them on. If only there was a place in the morning to start my day. With a smile, somewhere to help me get in the know. A place that's spectacular as well. Me.
I think we might know a place, right, guys?
Bring your friends. Oh, wait, there is.
Good morning, America.
GMA, 7A, every day. Boom, boom, boom.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, America. How are you?
Boom. Now that's how you start your day, people.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
Packs should get along like a happy family. People mistake an excited dog for a happy dog. My German just told her, your energy is not healthy.
As of today, in a big way, we have inaugurated abcnews.com.
A lot has changed in our world since Peter made that announcement. But what hasn't changed is the commitment to groundbreaking reporting and innovation at abcnews.com. And here's to everything ahead.
Wednesday, Christmas comes early with Pentatonics, performing a holiday concert for you. It's Pentatonics, Wednesday on Good Morning America's concert series, sponsored by CarMax.
Firefighters battled massive flames in Michigan after a grain elevator caught fire. Crews were called out late Sunday night, but were still working to extinguish the flames more than 12 hours later. Grain dust can be highly flammable and in some cases can cause explosions. Investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what caused the fire. In just 2 weeks, Illinois will become the first state to entirely end the use of cash bail. Collecting money from a defendant in exchange for release before trial has been a cornerstone of our criminal justice system. But critics say the practice has become inhumane and unfair. Illinois' governor calls the end of cash bail a step toward dismantling systemic racism. Yet some are sounding the alarm about public safety. Tonight, our Devin Dwyer is in Chicago with a closer look at what may be ahead.
How many days were you held when it was all said and done?
The whole completely 571.
For more than a year, Lavette Mays was locked up, innocent until proven guilty.
I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't start it, so I figured that I wouldn't be there that long, not away from my kids.
In 2015, the then 45-year-old mother of 2 young children was held in Cook County Jail awaiting trial after an altercation with her mother-in-law during a messy divorce landed both of them in the hospital.
They hit the gavel and said that my bond was assessed at $250,000, $25,000 to walk.
That must have been a shock.
It was shocking because I had no criminal record, and I didn't understand it.
$25,000, a daunting sum for a new small business owner, but part of an age-old system that lets those who can pay get out and those who can't stay behind bars.
They think that the person has money and they are capable of being paid to pay their bond.
Is there any chance you thought you could make the $25,000?
There was no chance, I thought.
After more than 14 months in jail, Mays negotiated a more affordable bail and was released on home monitoring.
I lost my business, I lost housing, I lost transportation, my vehicles. There are so many women that I met in jail because they could not afford to pay a bill.
More than 60% of defendants in this country, an estimated 500,000 Americans on any given day, are eligible for release but kept in jail before trial because they can't afford to pay bail. Since 1970, the numbers have soared, a 433% increase, most held on low-level offenses and disproportionately people of color.
They should only be detained if something about the offense they are accused of suggests that they pose a real and present threat to others.
Several states, including New York and New Jersey, have largely ended the use of cash bail, but in 2 weeks, Illinois will become the first state to eliminate the practice entirely.
It forces the system to really make these really important decisions based on someone's pocketbook and not any evaluation of their risk to either flee from prosecution or any risk against public safety.
Illinois' Pretrial Fairness Act will abolish cash bail, making release the default, giving judges discretion to decide who should be detained only if the state can show a defendant poses a specific, real, and present threat to a person or has a high likelihood of flight, or in the case of forcible felonies like murder, battery, burglary, or carjacking.
Will this lead to more people being essentially free until their trial?
What I can say on each individual case, we have the opportunity to make a better decision as a system, along with returning those dollars to communities that are desperate to retain the things that keep them safe and healthy.
Several communities that have reduced the use of cash bail report minimal impact on public safety, but some top Illinois lawmakers remain unconvinced.
We have a responsibility under the Constitution as lawmakers to keep our people safe. There are some people who are a threat to society who should be detained at trial. Move slowly. Don't take this national progressive approach.
The imminent change dividing Illinois at a time of high concern about crime.
It's okay until it touches you and your family, you personally.
Opponents also warned the added responsibility for judges could overwhelm the system.
It's going to slow down the court system. When guys don't show up, the case doesn't go to trial, there's no plea, they got to continue it, issue a warrant.
In our county, that system was already sort of put in play. Some of it really good, some of it not good.
Sheriff Tom Dart of Cook County, which includes Chicago, says local bail reforms enacted 5 years ago have made the system more sustainable.
I had about 11,000 people in custody when I started as sheriff. People who were just flat out poor. Once again, their crime was insignificant, but they didn't have $100, so they sat there. I was like, we got to stop that.
What was the secret?
Well, the big thing was getting across to people that jails were not to be housing mentally ill and poor people.
But he says the Cook County approach has been far from perfect.
We're seeing much higher degree of people committing new offenses while on home monitoring.
What's your bottom line? How significant is this for Illinois and for the country to eliminate cash bail?
That is desperately needed to be done everywhere. They have to get it right, because you get it wrong, there'll be a reaction to it, and people say, see what happened there? We can't do this because look what happened there.
Because when you incarcerate a woman, you incarcerate the whole family.
Mays took a plea deal in 2016 and is now working to change Illinois' justice system, hoping her state and its elimination of cash bail will be a model for others.
I think this will help a lot of people.
I think God seen something else for me. It was a reason that I had to go through this. So it'll save other people. Unfortunately, it didn't help me, but that's okay.
It'll be fascinating to see how that all plays out. Our thanks to Devin. Still ahead, what's stalling proceedings to extradite the embattled FTX CEO back to the U.S.? The tool Elon Musk could be using to determine his future role at Twitter. And to look at Argentina's victory and Lionel Messi's triumph at this year's World Cup by the numbers. But first, our tweet of the day. New York City unveiled the Gate of the Exonerated today in Central Park. It honors a group of Black and Hispanic teens known as the Central Park Five who were wrongfully convicted of attacking a white female jogger more than 30 years ago.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
This is where I belong. This is home. Real dirt in the sunlight again. I'm very excited. Anything could happen at any moment. My heart is so happy right now. We're making magic. We're making magic.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
The website fully crashed.
A nightmare.
So what went wrong?
Everything.
When you hear the name Ye or Kanye West, how do you guys react? Is Ye an anti-Semite?
Nobody crawls into a barrel and shoots themselves in the head. That's a mob hit.
I wanted a little cushion for the cushion. If you get queasy, close your eyes right now.
Catch the holiday Impact by Nightline binge block, streaming on ABC News Live and stream anytime on Hulu.
All right, this is like the new chapter.
This is fire.
They're not just sneakers. These sneakers tell stories.
I'm the king of the... Who are these guys?
Who want to reshape the culture of the game of golf from a black standpoint.
I've never seen anything like this before in my entire life.
Don't cry yet. Just hold on.
You talk about grails. Well, this is ours, and this is our story.
This can actually change the game.
I'm the king of the wild.
This is ABC News Live Prime.
Thanks so much for streaming with us.
Live reporting, breaking news, exclusives, award-winning, powerful, eye-opening. ABC News Live Prime with Lindsay Davis. Streaming weeknights. Wednesday, Christmas comes early with Pentatonics performing a holiday concert for you. It's Pentatonics, Wednesday on Good Morning America's concert series, sponsored by CarMax.
Welcome back, everyone. The World Cup drew in a record number of viewers and triumph for Argentina's Lionel Messi. Here's a look by the numbers. 15.4 million U.S. households watched yesterday's World Cup final, an all-time U.S. audience record, and the game certainly delivered on the drama. For just the third time in history, the World Cup title was decided by a penalty shootout. 36 years, folks. That's how long Argentina had waited for a World Cup win. 35-year-old Lionel Messi had not even been born yet the last time his country won. He scored 2 goals and the first of 5 shootout penalties to win his team the long-coveted championship, a fitting crown on a legendary career. With 793 goals, 42 club and international titles, and a record 7 Balones de Oro already to his name, the World Cup win makes Messi the most decorated soccer player in history, along with Brazilian player Dani Alves. He's behind only Cristiano Ronaldo in all-time goals, but he has 350 assists to his name. That's 116 more than Ronaldo, and that's despite playing 143 fewer games. 71 goals in a single season make Messi a world record holder. That includes 13 in World Cup tournaments. He's the only player in history to score in a World Cup in his teens, his 20s, and also his 30s. And now the countdown begins to 2026. The United States, Mexico, and Canada will host the next World Cup. It will be the first time the event will be held across 3 countries. And we still have lots to get to here on Prime tonight. Police say a real-life Grinch broke into an Academy Award-winning actor's home and tried to steal his Christmas gifts. And performer Bazzi describes his cosmic career rise and how he plans to switch up his sound in our Prime playlist. But first, we'll look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
So much happening these days, it's hard to keep up.
Things change hour by hour, minute by minute.
The historic weather that's now unfolding.
The worries on Wall Street.
We're bringing you the Right Now. But a nationwide teacher shortage.
The Right Now look at the day ahead. An alert this morning for dog owners and the key takeaways from the biggest stories.
World News Now and America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Today does feel a little different. Early mornings on ABC News Live.
This is where I belong. This is home. Real dirt in the sunlight again. I'm very excited. Anything could happen at any moment. My heart is so happy right now. We're making magic. We're making magic. The website fully crashed.
A nightmare.
So what went wrong?
Everything.
When you hear the name Ye or Kanye West, how do you guys react? Is Ye an anti-Semite?
Nobody crawls into a barrel and shoots themselves in the head. That's a mob hit.
I wanted a little cushion for the cushion. If you get queasy, close your eyes right now.
Catch the holiday Impact by Nightline binge block, streaming on ABC News Live and stream anytime on Hulu.
Get ready, America, every Friday. The hottest trends, styles, and must-have. What's the right stuff to buy right now? I really love that. It's time to buy the right stuff.
Yes! And save big time, too.
The right stuff.
Fridays on GMA.
You're gonna love it.
Now streaming on ABC News Live, 2020, true crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable, follow the clues, The Hunt, true crime, 2020, now streaming on ABC News Live.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
Yeah. So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
In its final public hearing, the House Select Committee making clear they believe the evidence they've revealed through their investigation shows former President Donald Trump was responsible for the events surrounding the deadly January 6th Capitol attack. According to the panel's executive summary that was released to the public shortly after the hearing, the committee is referring former President Trump, his former election attorney John Eastman, and others to the Department of Justice for possible criminal prosecution. They said the referrals to the DOJ are based on several criminal charges, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstruction of an official proceeding, and inciting an insurrection. The panel is also referring 4 Republican members of Congress to the Congressional Ethics Committee for not complying with lawfully issued subpoenas from the committee. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried did not waive extradition to the U.S. during a court appearance in the Bahamas today, despite expectations he would do so. The former FTX CEO said he wanted to look at a copy of the U.S. indictment and call his attorney. The call was approved by the judge, and Bankman-Fried was remanded back into custody with proceedings adjourned until an unspecified date. Bankman-Fried was arrested last week after federal prosecutors in the U.S. filed an 8-count indictment, including allegations of fraud and conspiracy stemming from the collapse of FTX. A lawyer for Bankman-Fried said he was willing to waive extradition to the U.S. and expected him to return to court to make it official this week. Twitter owner Elon Musk appearing to put his future running the social media giant in the hands of its users, with a poll asking if he should step down and a claim that he would abide by the results. With more than 17 million people weighing in, 57.5% said that Musk should leave his post at Twitter, with 42.5% saying he should stay. Musk has based some decisions at Twitter on users' votes such as this, but has not indicated what he will do next.
5 people were killed and 1 injured in a shooting at a condo building in Canada. Police said a 73-year-old gunman opened fire at the building in the Ontario city of Vaughan. The suspect was shot by police and eventually died. Officials said the suspect, Francesco Villi, and the 6 victims were all residents of the building, and that 3 of the deceased were members of the condo board, with other reports saying that Villi had a long-running dispute with the board. Police said the motive for the shooting was still under investigation.
A startling story out of Michigan. Prosecutors accusing a mother of catfishing and harassing her own daughter. Authorities allege Kendra Licari secretly sent her daughter and daughter's boyfriend thousands of hateful texts and messages for months. Licari's daughter first received these messages in early 2021, with Licari and the daughter's boyfriend's parents then reporting it to officials at their school, who later referred the situation to law enforcement. But the messages allegedly allegedly continued, and investigators claim this spring they discovered Licari was the source when they traced the messages back to her. Licari is facing 5 charges, including stalking a minor and obstruction of justice. She was released on $5,000 bond.
A woman with a long criminal record faces a burglary charge for stealing items from actor Robert De Niro's Manhattan home while he was there. Police say officers spotted 30-year-old Shanice Aviles trying doors on the Upper East Side at about 2:45 this morning. They followed her and watched her enter De Niro's home on East 65th Street through a basement door. When the officers came inside, they saw Aviles bagging up items.
Police said the actor and the thief did not interact. Cops said she has been in and out of jail for a half-dozen recent burglaries.
Welcome back. Some artists use music to connect with fans, and some use it to delve a bit deeper within themselves. Bazzi is a good example of both. He burst onto the scene as a teenager. That momentum only grew as he moved into his mid-20s. His sound evolved with catchy pop beats, groovy R&B undertones, complemented by electronic instruments. Bazzi's sound takes you inside his mind as he finds a path to self-acceptance. Our Phil Lipoff sat down with the music maker for our latest Prime playlist.
Lose myself up in those eyes.
Life changed for Andrew Bazzi with the release of a catchy pop track that nearly broke the internet.
Hands on your body, I don't wanna waste no time.
With a kaleidoscope-like music video earning close to 1 billion streams on Spotify, Mine put Bazzi on the map and led to the tremendous success of other hits off his 2018 breakout album Cosmic, like 315.
Lying next to you, I got a flight in the morning.
The industry taking notice.
I think it's important. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Leading to more smash hits with collaborators like Camila Cabello.
The way that Gucci look on you, amazing. But nothing can compare to when you naked. Hey. Beautiful, 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 beautiful nature.
The song, followed by his first tour supporting Cabello, solidified Bazzi's place in pop music.
Yeah, Bazzi, you are.
Trusting your gut is really important, and betting on yourself is really important.
Now, at 25, coming off the release of his latest album, Infinite Dream, he'll tell you it's been a long and at times rough road. His secret to getting this far? Never even considering giving up.
I've always wanted it, and I just think the universe rewards people who try.
We sat down with Bazzi in L.A. He told us about growing up in Michigan in a house with a father who immigrated from Lebanon, Arabic spoken at home. Barely 5 years old when he picked up the guitar and was looking to Guns N' Roses for inspiration.
Slash was my hero. At 4 years old, I'd sit in front of the speakers and just like close my eyes and imagine I was playing the solos he'd play and stuff like that.
Girl, you make my speakers go boom, boom.
Young Bazzi was all in on the dream of being an entertainer, eventually posting covers of popular songs on YouTube and gaining a following of millions on Vine.
Bad girl, I must admit, you got my heart, don't know how you did it.
I wanted to almost act like that didn't happen or like that wasn't a part of my story, because it was embarrassing. Now when I look back, I love that kid. Like, I love who I was, and I love that confidence I had.
Did you think, like, I've made it now?
No, I didn't at the time, because I hadn't written a song yet. I was telling other people's stories and singing other people's words.
So much music in his head, an aspiring songwriter determined to do whatever it takes. He moved to Los Angeles before graduating high school. Over the next 2 years, releasing several singles. His first album, Cosmic, and then that tour with Camila Cabello.
I was definitely really nervous before, but the second you go on stage and people project something onto you, you change and you morph into this thing, you know?
That thing, a colorful world of heartfelt introspection, a potent mix of creative energy that is contagious. His fans fall in love with it night after night.
Let's do this right.
A year later, the release of Soul Searching and innovative songs like Paradise. But 2020 would be anything but paradise.
The pandemic hits. Tell me how it affected you, because as I said, you're on this upward trajectory, and then everything just boom stops.
I was becoming like just a different person. It was scary and it was dangerous at a lot of times, but I needed that stop and I needed that reality check. It got close with drugs, and I wasn't taking care of myself.
Candid about his pandemic lows on social media, sharing an open letter detailing his struggles and encouraging fans to be honest with themselves when they're feeling down. The letter accompanied by one of his most intimate songs yet, titled, "I Don't Think I'm Okay." It begins with this.
I ain't seen my mama in a little bit over here. And even when I see her, I know she knows that it isn't me here.
In the song's chorus, Bazzi writes, "I don't think I'm okay. I don't think I'm okay. It feels good to say I don't think I'm okay, and that's okay."
That is hard for a lot of people to say.
That's again like the beauty of making music, because it's the original intention is not like this is gonna save the world. It really is for me. And I think there's a lesson in that too. It's like when you take care of yourself, you take care of other people too. You stand up for yourself, you stand up for everybody. I mean, it always helps. Like, once again, I don't know where I would be, or I'm so grateful to have an outlet. As you're writing, you're looking deep inside of yourself and kind of untangling wires.
I had a dream about you last night.
Our conversation just a day after his latest national tour wrapped up. 16 cities in less than a month. Tired, but energized, and always creating.
My buddy Kevin sent me this the other day. And this is like sometimes how just like a song, how simple a song will start.
No lyrics written down yet, just a sneak peek of what's coming next.
And I don't know if I've been living my life all the right ways. But I like you, could I see you again? Ooh, ooh, don't play pretend. 'Cause I wanna be more than friends.
Yeah. That one's cool. It's just, well, I haven't written them. They exist. They're just in my brain now. They were never written. They were like supposed to be there.
Will you ever write them down? Or will you just go in and record
there.
it?
I'm gonna just record it, yeah.
That's crazy. That was amazing.
And so is his determination to never be stuck in one category with one sound, doing only one thing.
On my own by myself, so searching.
A ton of music, new projects outside of Bazzi, new artist projects, different artist projects, different sounds of music, clothing, bigger tour next here.
He says he wants to start a band too, not years down the road, but soon.
I love growing, I love change. Every night on stage, like I grow a little bit, I change a little bit, I conquer something. Every single individual in the crowd is a part of the performance because they're projecting this beautiful energy on you, this positivity on you.
It's the only way he knows how to do it, embracing change and continuing to create while reminding himself and his fans what really matters.
I say this every night on tour. I have a moment where like I just put the lights up and I really look at everybody and I let them know that that's the reason I do it, to just be able to create this communicative energy together. That's my purpose right there, at least right now in my life.
Our thanks to Phil for that. Many comedians like to keep it real by talking about their personal lives, and comedian Neil Brennan is not backing away from anything at all in his new Netflix comedy special, Blocks. Let's take a look.
Is your life going smoothly? These are technically the areas of my life that make me feel like something's wrong with me.
Acclaimed comedian and co-creator of The Chappelle Show, Neil Brennan, joins us now. Neil, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay.
So you move these physical blocks around on the stage in order to help you talk about your life, the current political climate, guns, religion, identity. Why the blocks? So how did you come up with that, and why was that so important for you in this comedy special?
One of the things is I think stand-up is so... we're so used to it, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I call it like a confident press conference where people just come out and they go like, all right, here's what's happening. And I just wanted to add another element to it that was something that the audience could kind of play along with, so to speak, or at least pay attention to, besides just me walking and talking.
You often joke about being the least famous person in the room. You've, of course, worked with some of the biggest names in the business, in comedy. You were co-executive producer of The Chappelle Show. How are your peers feeling about the current state of comedy and people's reactions to it?
I would argue that I don't know, because they're too busy counting money. There's never been a more lucrative time to be a comedian. Every comedian I know who's canceled or worried about being canceled is doing an arena. So it seems like if that's canceled, someone please come cancel me.
When we talk about, being canceled, I have wanted to actually speak to a comedian, so I have you cornered here tonight, about Dave Chappelle. And when he did his open to SNL a few weeks back, and it seems like he kind of teetered on the edge of potentially being canceled. And some people kind of like briefly called for it, but then it was like, forget it. They've attempted to cancel him before. But in this scenario, when he was talking about Kanye, now known as Ye West, it seemed like he went there, but then people left. And so how is it that you navigate and do that so masterfully and for somebody like a Dave Chappelle and you don't get canceled?
Like I said, who's gotten canceled? Kevin Hart got canceled. Again, canceled. He just lost the opportunity to host the Oscars. It's a week. No one has lost. Kevin didn't lose any sponsorships. I know, because I'm in a Chase commercial with him and I direct them. Dave has nothing to lose in terms of he doesn't have any corporate partnerships other than Live Nation. And, he's doing arenas. So this idea of danger and canceled, and you just get a blog written or a tweet written. And plenty of people wrote tweets about Dave, and there were some op-ed pieces. But that's the thing is you go, what I'm doing is death-defying. And everyone goes, he's defying death.
Neil, are you always the funniest person in the room?
Lindsay, thanks for asking. It depends on what the room is, It depends what the room is. Usually, but also if I'm not, I'm happy to watch. I love comedy, so I'm not like, if somebody says something funny, I'm like, stupid, making fun and making me enjoy myself. I love comedy, so I'm happy to be, I love comedians. I love hanging out with comedians. I love when everybody's funny. It's energizing.
Neil Brennan, we thank you for energizing us tonight. And to our viewers, you can stream Blocks on Netflix right now. Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
Before we go tonight, the image of the day. We go to Seoul Lantern Festival as people walk past an illuminated lantern honoring the upcoming Year of the Rabbit. And that is our show for this hour. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. In the next hour, the possible new clue police say they've discovered in the killings of 4 college students. The update from Amber Heard on the defamation suit involving Johnny Depp.
With so much at stake in our world right now, we wanted to thank you for your trust and for making ABC News America's #1 news.
And thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
After an extraordinary news-making year, thank you for making ABC's This Week America's #1 news and politics show on Sunday mornings.
You never know what you're going to get on this show. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yes, Whoopi! Is this mic on? Can you hear me out there?
Behind the scenes is always a better show.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
That's what people don't see during the commercial break.
Right, they don't.
What happened?
I had no idea really what I was getting myself into.
That day that we walked out, I treasure that day. I couldn't sit there.
You're doing good, Joy. You're doing good.
Oh, yeah, baby. It was crazy.
Behind the Table. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
From America's #1 news source comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter. And it can customize to you and your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience what all the buzz is about. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now. We're honored ABC's 2020 winner of 3 Emmy Awards for excellence. Thank you for making 2020 Friday night's most watched and most honored news magazine.
This is where I belong. This is home. Real dirt in the sunlight again. I'm very excited. Anything could happen at any moment. My heart is so happy right now. We're making magic. We're making magic.
Hey there, I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We're monitoring several developments here at ABC News at this hour. Actors Amber Heard and Johnny Depp are settling their defamation lawsuits against each other. Lawyers for both sides said the former couple has agreed to drop their appeals to the verdict in this summer's trial, which exposed their troubled marriage in graphic detail. Fortnite creator Epic Games has agreed to pay $520 million for allegedly violating children's privacy laws and using misleading game features to trick young users into spending millions of dollars. The settlement includes $245 million to refund customers. It's the largest refund amount in a gaming case in the FTC's history. And students at a Chicago high school staged a walkout this afternoon to protest gun violence. A shooting near their campus on Friday left 2 teenagers dead and 2 others wounded. The students gathered around a memorial where the shooting occurred and called on city leaders to increase security on their campus and crack down on gangs. Next tonight, to the dramatic conclusion of the January 6th committee's 18-month-long sweeping investigation into the attack at the Capitol. Today, the committee voted unanimously on a historic criminal referral to the Justice Department recommending charges against former President Trump. Our chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl reports.
In a dramatic coda to one of the most sweeping investigations of a president ever conducted by Congress, the January 6th committee recommended Donald Trump be prosecuted for multiple crimes related to the attack on the U.S. Capitol.
Every president in our history has defended this orderly transfer of authority, except one.
Will you be back? Today, for the first time, the American people hearing what Hope Hicks told the committee. She was one of Trump's longest-serving and most loyal aides. She testified she told Trump she didn't see any evidence of voter fraud.
I was becoming increasingly concerned that we were damaging his legacy.
What did the president say in response to what you just described?
He said something along the lines of, nobody will care about my legacy if I lose. So that won't matter. The only thing that matters is winning.
The committee laid out some of its most damning evidence. Trump's pressure campaign on state officials, including his infamous call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
How he turned his supporters on his own vice president.
Approximately 40 feet. That's all there was. 40 feet between the vice president and the mob.
And how ordinary citizens became victims of Trump's lies, including Ruby Freeman, an election worker in Fulton County, Georgia, falsely accused by Trump and Rudy Giuliani of rigging voting machines.
I won't even introduce myself by my name anymore. I get nervous when I bump into someone I know in the grocery store who says my name. I'm worried about who's listening. I get nervous when I have to give my name for food orders.
The committee concluded the former president committed at least 4 crimes, referring them to the Department of Justice for possible prosecution, including obstructing an official proceeding.
The whole purpose and obvious effect of Trump's scheme were to obstruct, influence, and impede this official proceeding, the central moment for the lawful transfer of power in the United States.
and conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to make a false statement, specifically his efforts to get individuals in several states to submit fake slates of electors, and finally, insurrection against the U.S. government.
The committee believes that more than sufficient evidence exists for a criminal referral of former President Trump for assisting or aiding and comforting those at the Capitol who engaged in a violent attack on the United States.
The vote was unanimous.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Our thanks to Jonathan Karl. And for more on this, we're joined now by former Assistant U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Robbins. Thank you so much for joining us once again. These criminal referrals by the January 6th committee are really symbolic in some sense, but it's also a historic move to refer a former president for prosecution. So give us a sense of the importance of this action by the committee today.
Well, it's hugely important. You know, one thing which has gotten lost somehow in this is that although the word treason has not been used, and there's not a referral for a charge of treason, treason finds its way into a lot of these charges. Treason finds its way into a lot of this evidence, and treason finds its way into the executive summary of this report. And because of what's been in the record for the last 18 months, or certainly the last 4 months of these hearings, American students are going to link Donald Trump's name with treason and treason with Donald Trump's name. And that's perhaps the most significant, lasting aspect of the public aspect of this incredibly important set of hearings.
Any surprises for you at all in the criminal referrals the committee made regarding the former president's role in January 6th?
Well, certainly the referral for incitement is something that came up over the last couple of days. Was surprising. I mean, a charge that, or a request for a criminal charge that the former president of the United States incited an insurrection, a rebellion against the United States, a rebellion against America's legal system. This is, as you suggested in your question, a tremendously historic development, and not in a particularly good way. One hopes that that will resonate with the American people.
The Justice Department, as you know now, continues its own investigation under Special Counsel Jack Smith. Beyond today's referrals, how important will the evidence and interviews conducted by the committee, as well as its final report, be to their work and final decisions on charges?
This is a committee whose investigators, whose lawyers, whose staff members, whose members of Congress have been working for 18 months on interviewing roughly 1,000 witnesses, compiling transcripts, compiling documents. That evidence will now be turned over, and that's going to provide not just a roadmap for these prosecutions, but it's going to provide hard material for presentations to grand juries and the development of criminal cases.
Why is this important that this is now under special counsel instead of the Justice Department directly? Does that remove some of the politics from any potential decision to prosecute the former president?
Yes, the decision by the Attorney General to appoint a special counsel was a prudent thing to do. That is to say, it provides some distance. It provides some inoculation. The reason I emphasize the word some is because those who want to conclude that this is a witch hunt or a political prosecution not backed by evidence will do so even if the Attorney General had appointed Mahatma Gandhi as the special counsel.
You mentioned two things, the political prosecution idea and that this is a nothing burger. Based on your own experience, what do you think the outcome is here?
I tend to think that the former president will be indicted. I tend to think that the stronger charges are those relating to the pilfering apparently of 300 plus classified documents and the obstruction of justice that surrounded the attempts to conceal the pilfering. Those are more straightforward charges, it seems to me. And here's why I say that. The charges that are referred over to the Department of Justice today are ones which do involve speech. They do involve the former president making speeches, urging his supporters to demonstrate arguably seeking legal advice. At least that's what he can claim. And those are defenses which, while I think the overwhelming evidence points to guilt, do give the former president legs to stand on in a courtroom, whereas the Espionage Act charges and the obstruction of justice charges or potential charges relating to the removal of documents have no such defenses associated with them. And frankly, we haven't seen a single defense offered by the Trump team to those potential charges.
Jeffrey Robbins, we thank you so much. Really appreciate your insight and your time.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Now to the border, and news tonight that the Supreme Court has put a temporary pause on ending a pandemic-era policy restricting immigration. But already some cities say they are facing a crisis as migrant numbers surge. ABC's Maria Villarreal has the latest from El Paso, Texas.
Tonight, just 36 hours before it was set to expire, U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts temporarily pausing the expiration of Title 42, a health policy used by the Trump administration during the pandemic to expel migrants without allowing them to request asylum. 19 Republican-led states behind the push to get the U.S. Supreme Court to step in, arguing failure to grant a stay will cause a crisis of unprecedented proportions at the border and inflict massive irreparable harms on the states. The news coming on the heels of an emergency declaration in El Paso.
Hola, mija, ¿cómo están?
Shelters like Annunciation House bearing the brunt of the most recent surge. Right now, do you have any space? Do you have any capacity in your shelters?
No, and we haven't for a while.
The Texas National Guard now sending 400 additional troops to the El Paso area. This as the city tries to manage an influx of migrants, 2,200 average daily crossings into the U.S. this month. Border Patrol agents also pushed to the limits. This video provided to ABC News by Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez, appearing to show overcrowding at the El Paso Processing Center. Just this morning, 2 buses arriving in New York City. Mayor Eric Adams warning the city is expecting more than 1,000 asylum seekers each week.
We're not waiting for the expiration before we do our planning.
They are planning already. Our thanks to Maria for that. In New York tonight, there are serious questions over the resume of one of the newly elected members of Congress. Republican George Santos will represent part of Long Island, but a New York Times investigation has been unable to confirm much of what he claims about his past accomplishments, including his college education, his jobs on Wall Street, even his animal rescue charity. Congressional correspondent Rachel Scott reports.
Tonight, explosive allegations against newly elected Congressman George Santos. The New York Times reporting the Republican representing Long Island appears to have misrepresented substantial parts of his resume, from his education to his employment.
I hope I can earn your vote on November 8th.
George Santos is fighting back.
He ran on the American dream, his campaign website claiming he's the son of immigrants, a Wall Street financier and investor who worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, graduating from Baruch College. But when we reached out to Baruch, they told us they checked their records for George Santos and could not find a match. Goldman Sachs and Citigroup confirming they have no record he worked there either. On his campaign website, he claims to have founded an animal rescue nonprofit that saved thousands of dogs and cats. ABC could find no IRS record of a charity with that name. Tonight, Santos insisting reporters are trying to smear his good name with these defamatory allegations.
Santos flipped the 3rd congressional district in New York red, handing Republicans a slim majority in the House. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy has not commented on these allegations. Lindsay.
Rachel, thank you. The investigation into the unsolved murders of those 4 college students in Idaho now enters its 6th week with a possible new clue. It's audio and video of 2 of the victims captured just hours before the killings. ABC's Kana Whitworth has the latest there.
New video possibly shedding light on what took place just hours before 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in their beds. ABC News obtaining the surveillance footage. Kaylee Gonzalez's father says it shows her and Madison Mogan walking down Main Street in Moscow, Idaho, with a man whom police have confirmed is not a suspect. Their conversation caught on camera. The footage submitted to authorities as part of the investigation. Kaylee's family lawyer telling ABC News they've seen it, and they also don't believe the Adam referenced is a suspect.
What were they talking about that night? Were they concerned about anything? Had anybody bothered them? These are all sort of leads that the police will have to look at.
Just moments later, with the same man less than a block away, Kaylee and Madison seen on video at a food truck at 1:40 a.m. Police have yet to name a suspect in the case and confirm that they have expanded their search for the occupants of a 2011-2013 white Hyundai Elantra like this, saying they may have critical information about the case. The car, resembling this grainy image they're now investigating, captured on a gas station security camera taken around 3:45 a.m. the morning of the murders. Gas station employees telling ABC News they told investigators that the video shows the car speeding in the direction of the murder scene. But still, more than a month after the murders, officers asking the public for more help.
If we get the word out there, hey, maybe your neighbor has one in the garage that they don't drive very often. Maybe there's one that's just not on the registration database. Let us know.
Our thanks to Kana for that. Now to Hanukkah, which began last night. The holiday is a celebration of light and miracles, and this year it's taking on special meaning as Jews in America and around the world face growing anti-Semitism. ABC's Ariel Reshef reports on the efforts to rise above the hate.
With Hanukkah candles aglow, Jews across America and around the world are celebrating the Festival of Lights. But the holiday comes as Jews are facing a wave of darkness not seen in decades, with anti-Semitism in the U.S. surging to alarming levels.
Backlash against Kanye West after his repeated anti-Semitic remarks.
Anti-Semitic incidents have hit an all-time high in this country.
Incidents targeting Jewish institutions jumped 61% from 2020 to 2021, and preliminary data from 2022 tells a similar story. The staggering uptick fueled in part by celebrities, politicians, and other public figures with massive platforms, spreading harmful misinformation about Jews to hundreds of millions of followers, while Jews are a minority of just 15 million worldwide. Of that, 7 million in the U.S.
When somebody like Yi says these kinds of things, many of his supporters might think he must be speaking the truth. And that really helps to normalize anti-Semitism, to mainstream anti-Semitic ideas.
But now a major push to combat that hate. The White House announcing last week a new interagency group to counter anti-Semitism, as Jewish and non-Jewish celebrities speak out on social media.
If you are not currently speaking up and speaking out against the anti-Semitism and the hatred of our Jewish brothers and sisters, then you were part of the problem.
Former pro football star and activist Emmanuel Acho spoke to us about the urgent need for allyship.
You've been outspoken about the need to stand up to anti-Semitism. Why?
It is not black versus white or non-Jewish versus Jewish. It's good versus evil.
Acho says it's time for everyone to take action.
The only way to fix the current rise of anti-Semitism is through integration. Seek education. Talk to a Jewish person. Have a Shabbat dinner with a Jewish person. Sit down with a Jewish individual. Equality is not a finish line that you cross, but it is a road that you travel. So we have to collectively choose to travel that road together.
Influencers like Danielle Bernstein using their platforms for purpose.
As much as possible, I'm trying to share I'm going to get emotional again. Being a proud Jewish woman and sharing it at a time where there's so much hatred out there towards us.
Montana Tucker documenting her personal connection to the Holocaust for her nearly 9 million followers.
Your great-grandma knew she was going to be marched to her death.
How important is Holocaust education given the rise in anti-Semitism?
I think it's more important than ever, and that's why I said to myself, well, if I have these millions of followers, and if I have a younger generation that follows me, maybe I can be that education for them.
And now, more than 36 organizations are uniting for a campaign to shine a light, increasing awareness and education, encouraging Americans to stand up.
When you speak out against one form of hatred, you are fighting against all forms of hatred.
Our thanks to Ariel for that. Still to come, this certainly isn't what you'd expect to see during a drug arrest, why police made these surprising and festive wardrobe choices. And from rom-coms to action and adventure, fresh off his appearance in Black Adam, actor Noah Centineo tells us about entering the world of espionage for his new show.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of families here in Poland.
At refugee centers
in Putin's Russia.
on the ground in Ukraine.
Close to the front line.
Here at the White House.
Destructive Cat 4 storm.
You're along
I-5. Boston is in the bullseye.
Let's go.
ABC News Live, America's #1 streaming news. Anytime, anywhere. Streaming 24/7, straight to you for free.
Thank you for making ABC News Live America's #1 streaming news.
Bring them on.
If only there was a place in the morning to start my day. With a smile, somewhere to help me get in the know. A place that's spectacular as well. Me.
I think we might know a place, right, guys?
Bring your friends. Oh, wait, there is.
Good morning, America.
GMA, 7A, every day. Boom. Boom. Boom.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Robin. Good morning, America. How are you?
Boom. Now that's how you start your day, people.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
As of today, in a big way, we have inaugurated abcnews.com.
A lot has changed in our world since Peter made that announcement. But what hasn't changed is the commitment to groundbreaking reporting and innovation at abcnews.com. And here's to everything ahead.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Russian President Vladimir Putin made a rare state visit to Belarus today. In a joint news conference, the two leaders said that they agreed to continue a series of joint military drills. Ukraine is sounding the alarm that Belarus may join Russia in a new ground offensive against Ukraine. One of Iran's best-known actresses has been arrested after criticizing the government for the execution of a man who was involved in the nationwide protests. Tarana Ali Dousty, who starred in the 2016 Oscar-winning film The Salesman, is the latest of dozens of artists, journalists, and lawyers detained over the past 3 months for speaking out against the violent crackdown on protesters. And in Peru, take a look at these outfits here. Police officers disguised in Christmas costumes captured a family of alleged drug dealers in Lima. The 4 people arrested are suspected members of a gang called Chicago Grinches. Action, adventure, and the CIA. New Netflix series The Recruit throws rom-com star Noah Centineo into the world of international espionage. Centineo plays a young lawyer recruited by the agency right out of law school. Our Will Reeve got a chance to sit down with Centineo to talk about how he prepared for the role and how this isn't like any other spy thrillers out there. Take a look.
Cop dramas, spy thrillers, it's a popular genre for a reason. What sets The Recruit apart?
Well, it's a spy genre, but we've seen the spy genre, like you said, explored hundreds and hundreds of times, whether it's from the perspective of an asset, former asset, a secret agent, or even a lawyer. What we haven't seen is it through the lens of someone fresh out of law school on their second day on the job, and that's The Recruit.
Welcome to the CIA. How long have you been here?
10 minutes, but you're a very busy man. I get it. You're running the whole operation. You mean how long I've been working here? About 2 days.
At any point in the process of thinking about doing the role, agreeing to do it, and then shooting, did fear come in and self-doubt and wondering if this is too big of a departure for you, or are you just so ready to rock?
Yeah, there's almost zero fear involved, funny enough, with it. And it is a departure, but it's also kind of a middle ground. Like, it's not a complete 180, I don't think, and that's because of the tone. And there's a duality and a dichotomy in the show, which is he's a lawyer at the CIA. The CIA has to do with spying, espionage, operations, missions, danger. His life is at stake. But then he also goes home to his roommates. He's in his early 20s. And, like, he can't tell them anything about what's happening at work.
You get this under control, no matter what it takes.
Seriously? Have you ever had a panic attack?
Oh, I've been having one continuously since 2019. You get used to it.
And in your preparation for this, did you do any embedding or have other conversations with people who have this experience?
I actually went to Langley. I went to the CIA. I met with 6 analysts, and I met with 6 attorneys. One of them was my age. And we got to ask them questions. We asked them a lot of questions, got very few answers, which was great. It was so cool. And they were like, we're not prepared to answer that. You know, it's like, yeah.
Oh, this is just like the show, the movies.
Is the hood really necessary?
No. What will this have for people who are into the spy thriller genre, the law enforcement genre, the legal thriller genre?
Yeah.
And what will it have for people who are fans of yours as they followed your career, which comes from a different angle?
Absolutely. I mean, you're going to see the CIA from a completely different perspective. The Office of the General Counsel to the CIA is like the post office with secrets. It's a really corporate side of this insane institution that is global. But you're still going to get the thrill-seeking of it, because it's about Owen Hendricks, straight out of law school, at the CIA, gets assigned a case where a former asset is threatening to reveal everything that she knows about the CIA and their operations unless Owen gets her exonerated of a crime. Hey!
Sorry! Don't apologize. Why are you apologizing?
For those that know my work from you know, To All the Boys and rom-coms and kind of that more YA genre, you're gonna watch a kid figure out what it means to work at the CIA and what it means to be a lawyer and to be a young professional living in DC.
Is there a problem?
So many.
Speaking of young adults, White Claw.
Yeah.
Owen makes the mistake of ordering a White Claw at a fancy bar, and that seems to be sort of a great indicator, an example of this young, fresh out of college kid trying to navigate an adult world.
Totally.
And how intentional was that choice to have him order that?
It's a huge indicator of, but it's not just like his immaturity, it's just more so he's unapologetic about who he is. In that particular scene, he's at a gala surrounded by massive political heads and very rich people all coming together for, some good cause. It's under the guise of a good cause, when really it's just these bigwigs getting together to do business. And he just shows up and he's not from that world at all, and he doesn't care, and he's not going to try to change to be that.
I'm 24 years old. I'm supposed to make mistakes, take big swings.
How about a martini?
How about a White Claw?
Are you a White Claw guy?
Oh, yeah, I was. Yeah. I used to, yeah.
How does your career reality compare to the dream you had of it when you were starting out?
I started when I was 8, man. All I wanted to do was be on Disney Channel. And when I was 15, I was like, had a one-liner on Austin and Ally. So then I was like, all right, now what do I want to do? It's changed. It's morphed a lot. It's just crazy to think about.
But you're having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm really, really fortunate to be able to continue to work and have a little bit of agency in how I steer my career as well. I feel very fortunate for that.
Final thing. Why should people watch this show?
People should watch the show because it's the spy genre that, like, they've never seen it before. It's genre blending. It's new. It's fresh. It's a different take on the CIA. You've never seen the CIA like this ever.
Is that a pina colada?
Yeah.
Looks entertaining there, thanks to Will. For that, you can stream the first season of The Recruit on Netflix right now. And still to come, how a simple prayer request on Facebook ended with a stranger saving someone's life.
The website fully crashed!
A nightmare.
So what went wrong?
Everything.
When you hear the name Ye or Kanye West, how do you guys react? Is Ye an anti-Semite?
Nobody crawls into a barrel and shoots themselves in the head. That's a mob hit.
I wanted a little cushion for the cushion.
If you get queasy, close your eyes right now.
Catch the holiday Impact by Nightline binge block, streaming on ABC News Live and stream anytime on Hulu. With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast, now streaming on ABC News Live. After an extraordinary news-making year, thank you for making ABC's This Week America's #1 news and politics show on Sunday mornings.
All right, this is like the new chapter.
This is fire.
They not just sneakers. These sneakers tell stories.
I'm the king of
Who are these guys?
Who want to reshape the culture of the game of golf from a black standpoint.
I've never seen anything like this before in my entire life.
Don't cry yet. Just hold on.
We talk about grails. Well, this is ours, and this is our story.
This can actually change the game.
I'm the king of the wild.
Finally tonight, a generous gift from a stranger who simply answered a prayer request on Facebook. That answer saved a life.
Hey, Heather. I'm doing good. I'm up.
While it's not even Christmas yet, Roy McIntosh has already received his favorite gift, thanks to the generosity of a stranger.
Perfect stranger, perfect match, and a perfect guy.
This father of 5 didn't even realize that his wife, out of desperation, posted a prayer plea in a Facebook group, writing, "Please pray for my husband that God sends a type B positive living kidney donor to him. We believe God for a miracle. Please pray for him." That miracle soon arrived in her Facebook message inbox. From more than 1,500 miles away in Texas, a woman named Heather Schaefer replied, "I was touched by your message. I know this is crazy because we have never met, but I'm B positive and healthy. I've been looking into donations. If you're still looking for a donor, I would love to talk with you more about it."
I just thought it was a really normal thing to do. I was like, of course, I'll give my extra healthy kidney.
This summer, that prayer of a transplant was answered. 2 months later, they met in person, Roy leaning in for a hug of gratitude.
Oh my gosh.
He's now working out 3 times a week, back at church, and starting a support group, The Green Path, to bring awareness to renal failure through their nonprofit Most Beautiful Womb. And tonight, Heather says her Christmas wish is that people hearing this story about Roy and me can be inspired, hopefully to inspire more live organ donors. Roy, forever grateful for this lifelong bond that started with a kidney, but now radiates joy right from his heart. Love that, the season of giving. And that's our show for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
This is where I belong. This is home. Real dirt in the sunlight.